Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mami Ayanda. Good morning, Teddy.
Morning, Dad.
Good
How
morning,
are
good
you?
morning.
Good, thank you.
We are
Right.
good, we are
Um,
good.
yeah, I believe this is our inaugural Mother's Day webinar celebration. Thank you, Mami Ayanda, for being part of this whole journey with Dads in the Picture, and for being part of this inaugural webinar for Mother's Day.
Absolutely. It's absolutely my pleasure. I've enjoyed working with you guys. I've learned so much as well.
Yeah, awesome.
We've enjoyed
Teddy
working with you, eh?
Mish, the man behind Dads in the Picture. How are you, Daddy?
You mean next to Daddy Zibusi? I can't just be behind Dad's in the picture alone. Yeah. Next to you, hey, we thrive. I am well on this beautiful morning. And yeah, the pre-Mother's Day, Mami Ayanda. Happy Mother's Day in advance.
Oh yeah, it's been such an exciting experience just reading about stuff that's happening all over the world, social
Mhm.
justice that women are fighting for, mothers are fighting for, and just being aware that that's part of the movement that I'm part of. It's quite
Yeah.
exciting.
Absolutely.
And then we've
Exciting
got
indeed.
Teddy Retsang. Welcome, Teddy. How are you? Teddy Retsang, can you hear us? I don't know if he's aware that he is live, but nonetheless, it's fine. Let's just.
It might be network issues, but I'm sure he'll catch on soon enough.
Okay. Awesome. And we see, welcome, Daddy Bernard. Um, thank you for joining us. So, yeah, moms and dads, this young man here, none other than Zibusiso. He always wants to be in the picture.
Yeah, we're appreciating him joining, eh?
Yeah. Okay. So I think what we can do, we can just get to it and basically just us having fun, commemorating mothers, honoring the mothers in our lives. Um, and what I'd like to first start off with is is kind of allow us to reflect and share our memories of our own mothers. Um, and then we'll take it from there. So, Didi Retsang, can you hear us now? Okay, I think when he's ready, he'll speak. Mami Ayanda,
Yes, Daddy.
your your memory of your mother.
Sure. I'm very fortunate that my mom is still alive. Is there an echo or is it me that I'm?
No, you can continue.
Oh, okay. I'm very fortunate that my mother is still alive, and
Oh, hello, hello. I can
hi,
hear you guys
Daddy.
properly. I was having some network problems.
All right, awesome, Didi. We'll get in touch with you just now. Mami Ayanda?
So I was just saying that I'm very fortunate that my mother's still alive.
Excuse me?
I think that with time, with as I've grown older, I've gotten to appreciate her journey way
I
more
can't hear you
than
guys, man.
I understood. As a young lady, I was almost rebelling against everything. I knew it all of that. But then once you get to have the experience and you get to have your own children, you kind of start seeing from her perspective, and then obviously understanding the generational differences. Um, it's also modeled how I am very deliberate in how I communicate now with my children. So I use my mom as a board to almost autocorrect how I parent with my children, what I may feel that she could have done better, and the things that she just done amazingly. And more than anything else, whether we had meat in the fridge or not, we always knew about her unconditional love. And that's the one thing about her that I have carried in my parenting experience. And I hope that one day my children will always say, you know what, yeah, whatever was happening, you know, because it's a little bit, it's tough once you start being a career woman as well and being a single mom and all of that, because now you're juggling all these things. There's the responsibility with the kids, there's also a career providing, but you also want them to always know that you are always available, you have an open door policy. So there's a lot that I've learned from her, there's a lot that I want to do better, but all of it is basically, she's a mirror of the kind of mom, the potential I have in being a mom.
Thank you for that reflection. Terimish?
Absolutely. I must say, you know, as a father and an uncle and a grandfather, it's been quite a journey, because I've come to realize just how intense, you know, motherhood can be. You know, by merely going through my own journey as a parent, I've come to realize just how much my army of moms had to go through. You know, I normally talk about an army of moms, because for me, motherhood has manifested through my grandmother, through my mother, through my aunts, and through some of my teachers at school. I mean, I remember one particular lady who ran a business. I think it was Molebat's supermarket, Mekanyile. She was a mother to me. I mean, I walked into a shop, and from that day onwards, she sort of cared for me like a mother. You know, she made sure that I had something to eat. You know, she made sure that she wanted to find out how school was. This was, you know, independent of my own mother, independent of my own grandmother. So for me, it's you know, amidst all the stages of being a toddler, being a, you know, a young boy running around and trying to, you know, to skip on roles and skip on activities and tasks. You know, my moms were always there to actually pull me back into line. You know, I mean, if I know now how to boil an egg, which I'm an expert at, I learned it from my moms. You know, I might not know how to do, you know, your fancy stews and all of that, but even when I do a stew now, I'll be using my aunt's recipe in a way, because I saw that in the background. I was always around them, and you know, to be honest, it's nothing ever can compare to having that mom, you know, mother, grandmother, aunt affection and care, which for me it's always been there, unwavering. You know, it's always been there. It's never been something that I wanted to get, which was never around me. It's always been given to me, to a point where I think perhaps at some point I was taking it for granted, because I knew when I wake up, if I can't find my shirt, you know, my mom will find it for me, or my grandmother will find it for me. So you know, having a mother, it's been, you know, my life story, and really appreciate it. And on such a day, such a morning, I'm glad that we came together to actually appreciate the mothers.
Thank you for that reflection, Dedi. I think Dedi Retsang is also there now. Dedi Retsang, share with us your fondest memory
Yes,
of
sir.
your mother.
It has
It's network, eh?
Yeah, no,
Network doesn't want him to actually, you know, celebrate the moms today. It's
I,
some funny forces.
okay, let's see if we can try again. Otherwise, we'll try and bring him back. There we go. Yeah. Teddy, your fondest memory of your mother.
Is it okay? Well, it has to be. Should wake up early in the morning, make sure my school stuff is ready, make me breakfast, drop me off to school, fetch me to school, and then she'll still find the time to help me do my homeworks and stuff. So yeah, that's one of the fondest memories I have of my mother. Plus, she taught me how to nurture myself, keep myself clean, and then yeah, that's it.
Great. So I'd like to share my fondest memory. I think I was reflecting on this yesterday. So I remember when I was a young boy, I grew up in Soweto. So one day my mother had bought me the sunglasses. And then I walked around the Kasi wearing them. I remember this guy, he walked up to me and he just pulled them off my face, just said, "Hey, Wena, bring these things. What do young boys like you know about these shades?" And then he walked away. Fortunately, he was known, right? So I got home, told my mother, "Hey, Ma, this is what has happened." She was like, "Who is that? And where did that happen?" She was like, no, it's like, "Hey, come. I'm not going to give birth to a child and then somebody else is going to do whatever it is that they want to them." I was like, "No, but she went, dragged me by the hand. We went to that street, and fortunately, the guy was still there. Hey, my mother approached him, told him where to get off. I remember one thing she said. She said, "This is my child. I gave birth to him. If you dare touch him, you will see me in person again. And I don't even mind walking naked for this child because he is mine. I gave birth to him." And for me, that was like, whoa, mom's got up there and just defended me. And that's a memory of her that I think I'll carry throughout my life. And I think I cherish her for that.
Amazing stuff. Really
Yeah.
amazing stuff. Eh?
So for there goes Daily Rezan again. So now what I'd like us to do, Umami Ayanda has sent a video clip, but before then, there's another video clip I want to share with you. So this one, this guy, oh sorry, behave. So this guy is reflecting on the memory of his mother and how he took his mother for granted. Um, I won't spoil it by going too much into detail. So I'll play the video, and then we can just reflect on it afterwards. So
Okay.
it goes. Sorry, I think I just need to reshare and just add the audio. Just hold on. There we go. I'll start it from scratch. Fortunately, it's not too long. So
sporting events. Let's say I was playing football, okay? My mother would be on the sidelines, and if the play on the field started going one way, my mother would run along the, Mike, get up, get up! I'd be like, oh my gosh. I'd get in the huddle with the other guys, they go, Mark, is that your mother? I go, no, I never saw her before in my life. The greatest gift my mother ever gave me, she believed in me. I have overdosed on drugs on 3 occasions where I should have been dead. But I believe I was kept here for a reason. You show me your friends, I will show you your future. How do I know this? I hung out with losers, and I became the biggest loser of them all because I gave up everything I dreamt about as a little boy because of who I chose to surround myself with. My friends would drive me home at 2, 3, 4 in the morning. We'd be drunk and high, laughing in the car. We'd pull up in front of my house in New York. They go, Mark, the light's on. I go, oh man, my mother's up. See, my mom wouldn't go to bed until she knew her son was still alive. I'd walk in, she'd say, hi, Mark, how was your night? I go, it was good, Mom, I'm just gonna go to bed. She goes, can I talk to you for a minute? I go, Mom, I'm tired, I'm just gonna go to bed. She goes, Mark, I haven't seen you all day and all night. Can I please talk to you? I said, man, just leave me alone. You bug me. I'd slam my bedroom door on the one person who believed in me. I was on a worldwide tour and we were wrestling overseas in Japan. After my wrestling match, I went upstairs in my hotel room and I fell asleep. There was a knock at my door at 3 o'clock in the morning. I got out of bed and I looked through the safety window and I could see it was a Japanese promoter. So I opened the door and he said, Mark, you need to call home. There's been an emergency. I went and got on the hotel room phone. I called back to the United States. I said, hey, what's going on? I said, Mark, I don't know how to tell you this. I said, just tell me what happened. All of a sudden I started crying. They go, Mark, I can't tell you. I said, just say it. He said, Mark, your mother died. I just threw the phone down. I ran out of my hotel room. I took the elevator to the lobby, and when the doors opened up, I just ran out into the street. I mean, there was no cars, there was no people. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. And I walked down the middle of a street in Hiroshima, Japan. And I remember looking up and just saying, Mom, I am so sorry. I flew home for her funeral, and I was so nervous to walk up to her casket, so I just stood way in the back. And I kept looking from a distance. I kept thinking to myself, Mom, please wake up. Please get up. And then I finally got the nerve to walk up to her. And as I got closer, I could see my mom for the first time. I mean, she was so beautiful. She was dressed in white. I mean, she looked like an angel. And I just stood over it. I said, Mom, you are my hero. Everything I am, everything I hope to be was because of you. You loved me so much. You gave me a life. You're the only one that ever believed in me. How did I repay her? By getting drunk, by getting high, by getting stupid, by hanging out with losers? For what? All she ever wanted to do was talk to me. I wish I could talk to you now, Mom. I wish you could see what I'm doing. Why couldn't I have been a better son? We are defined by our choices. But if you surround yourself with people involved.
Yeah. So that's the side where we take our mothers for granted. And we kind of not appreciate the things that they do. We don't understand why they do what they do up until we get to have our own children, and or maybe like you, Mami Ayanda, you become a mother, you get to understand the love of a mother. In my life, I think I've kind of never understood the love of a mother. And I don't think I ever will, because I can never be a mother, but I can be, but I am a dad. Um, Today is about mothers. Didi Retsang, your thoughts on the video?
Yes, sir. The thoughts on the video is that you never know what you have till it's gone. So while you still have time, you just need to appreciate the people you love, especially the mothers. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Thanks, Daddy. Daddy Mish, your thoughts?
It's deep, Baba. It's deep in that it's often, with almost everything. You grow up in a house where you've got a mother, and you see the mother every day. You when you come home from school, it's not even an expectation. It's automatic. She's gonna be in the kitchen, preparing something for the family. You when you wake up in the morning, you even are lazy to wake up, as a young man or a young girl, because she'll come and knock on your door. She'll come not only once, come twice. And it's like growing up in a family where there's a car, and you've always been ferried to school, to the shops, to the relatives, to the movies, and then you get to a point where you yourself are grown up and you need to have a car. Somehow you expect that you get the frustration you get at not having it is more than the person who never had it. It's double. So even moms are precious. Some don't have moms in their lives, but those who have, they think it's part of the package. They think it's like air. They tend to think it's one of those. Even when we say Mother's Day is coming, there's that, okay, what can I do for mom? And but the effort that goes into it, it's not normally equal to the value that the mothers have, that they bring into our lives. So it will definitely be a sad day to wake up one day and it's too late to appreciate the mothers. And I missed everything that's happening. I think that's why we're here today, to make sure we appreciate them while we still can and while they still are around.
Thanks, Teddy. There's another dynamic of mothers. Mami, and I'm coming to you. Ne? There's another dynamic about mothers that I've realized. There's a bond that is created between a mother and a daughter, and you find daughters almost always constantly in contact with their mothers. I know my wife. Yo, I don't even know how many times a day she speaks to her mother. Um,
Okay, right?
they are there almost throughout the day. They can call each other now and then hang up, and then 10 minutes later, one of them calls, and then it's like, oh yes, I forgot this, and then they go again. I think they would both recharge, or my wife would recharge and exhaust the airtime, call back, exhaust the airtime, like they've got that bond. And
Yeah.
and I realize that there are many women out there who don't have that kind of relationship where they can drink from their mother. Mami Ayanda, your thoughts on the video?
Oh gosh. I think it's scary. It's scary. I think one of the hardest parts, Daddy R and Daddy Mesh spoke about how we don't appreciate something until we no longer have it. And I think when it comes to your parent, especially a parent who has done a lot for you, the one thing that you want them to know is that you can see them, that you acknowledge their effort. And I think that's the hardest part, when your parent has contributed, when your mother has done so much and you have not been able to express your gratitude. I'm one of those people, Daddy. I speak to my mother every day, at least an hour. I have no idea how we still have so much to talk about, but thank God for Wi-Fi, because we do our calls via Wi-Fi. There's no reloading needed. But I can promise you, I even now take pictures of everyday conversation. Like, okay, today we spoke, we topped our usual conversation. You know, I'll take a picture. If you went above just 5 minutes, I'll take a screen grab to say, yo, I wonder, you know. But it's so precious for me, you know, just understanding that value and that appreciation. And you know, there was a time I just remember now when I was younger, when I would see my mom not do anything for herself, but make sure that we get everything, you know, and it's just an analogy of a mom who will not even bother buying herself new underwear, but her children have the socks. The socks don't have holes, you know. You like, why? Back then I never understood, you know, but now that I've become a mother myself, I almost understand that it's like kuthiwa ngesiXhosa insika, usikwa insika as a mother, to say I would rather go without, but my child will have. And that when you understand that sacrifice that comes with the mother's love, you just appreciate it and you're just grateful for every day that you have her. And I mean, the older she gets, the more I'm aware that I may not have her for much longer. That's not my hope, but I'm just aware because that's what happens. And it's, for me now, it's so important to show her how much I appreciate her. And hence, so even if, like, let's say I'm going through a very bad day and I won't call her that one day, she'll call the next day and be like, and then yesterday, what happened? You know? And I'm like, oh, Mama, you know, I'm so stressed. I just needed to shut off. And then I'll start unraveling. Wait, see what this happened and this and this. Yeah, it's the mother and the daughter bond is like best friends for life type of bond. And I think what is really beautiful is when you can have those memories of your mom telling you can do it, you're the best, even way later until the part where they're not alive anymore. That is just beautiful. That is just classic.
That's a very beautiful story. You know, that's, I think there's one thing that I don't know, that maybe we are taking for granted or something that we're overlooking as parents. Perhaps maybe in this generation, that we tend to want to befriend our children very early, while we still need to raise them, to guide them, to coach them. And I think that's where our mothers were hard on us very early in our lives, so that we get into line. Because imagine now, if you were raised like to do your own thing, to be a spoiled brat, just to be let loose and no discipline, would you be able to have those conversations with your mother? Would you be able to have that friendship that you categorize as your best friend for life? What are your thoughts, Ayanda, on that?
Look, I really believe that the foundation of that starts earlier on, you know. As a mom, I think I'm able to be both the disciplinarian in my household, and I'm still able to be the friend. So you kind of have to be very deliberate on how you do it, in terms of creating those moments where you are having playtime, you know, you are having tickling each other. You know, me and my daughter and I, we play these things where we keep scaring each other. And sometimes she really gets me and I want to scream at her, like, ah! But I know this is part of the game, you know. But you kind of have to be very deliberate, because for me, the reason why this is important is that it builds up to those decision making and those important conversations that later happen in life, that require the trust, that require that foundation to have been set already. So if the challenge with only being the disciplinarian is that then certain conversation won't happen organically, you know. An example of maybe dating someone who may be abusing my daughter, I can imagine maybe in the future, or treating my daughter in a certain way. If our relationship is not set solid in terms of how it is, she may not be feeling very comfortable to have those kind of conversations with me. So we kind of have to be very deliberate, basically, in how we do a little bit of both, where we say this is playtime, and this is now we're putting our foot down, and these are the rules. Yeah.
Interesting. Next one.
And the full thoughts. Derimish?
No, I'm just listening to this. The whole balance with disciplinary and being that friend. It's quite remarkable. Mami Ayanda, congratulations. I'm sure there isn't many who can keep that balance and actually, flourish in it and have daughters, or sons, just flying off the nest, fully equipped. Thank you. Yeah, Teddy Zibuse.
Yeah, thanks, Teddy. I think another point of discussion that I want us just to touch on is how can a mother who is raising children solo, right? How can she try and juggle all of those roles of being the provider, the mother, the disciplinarian, kind of bringing the friend, and bringing all other roles all in one, whether the father has died or he's basically just absent? Mami Ayanda, what would you then say to that mother? How would you help her kind of hold things together?
This is my reality of what I'm living. I mean, single mother to 2 kids, and I have a very beautiful quote that I read almost on a daily basis, that I really use as my inspiration. I just want to read it out for you guys, and it basically says, "He who has a why can bear anyhow." So he who has a why can bear anyhow. And for me, that's really been my when I had my son, I was a very young mother, just above 21, who's now 13. And I always think about the many bad decisions I could have made in parenting and in being that role for him. But because I had him, and because I was very deliberate in almost seeing the type of father that he would be seeing that brother, the big brother, seeing the kind of influence that he would have in the community, I was very deliberate in kind of decision making, in how I parent him, in even getting to the space, because that's what inspired me to get into the space, figuring out what does being a mother mean, with nothing. I always say to parents, sometimes we think that we have to have these monies to be able to do these things. But the reality is, these things, the real crux of it has nothing to do with money. It's about the intentionality. It's about your commitment and that what you show in terms of your actions. So in all that hustling and the pushing, those disappointments and those proposals that were rejected, I was always thinking about my why, and it has given me the fuel to carry on all the way up until now, where I can even say I've gained a little bit of traction in terms of the field that I do, and things are not going the way I always want, but because I still have that why, and I'm very deliberate, and I know exactly what I want, it's still that fuel that fuels me still all the way. I mean, you yourself, Dedimash, about the struggles I've had. At some point, I've had to let go of my daughter because I was not able to take care of her, to go to the father. The fights in getting her back to become part of, so that I'm the primary caregiver. There's been a whole lot of fights. It's not a fantasy thing to say being a mom, everything is just, everything just happens and falls in place. No, it's a fight. And you need to be deliberate about that why. And I think when your children see that you're willing to fight for them, it builds those magical connections as well.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mami Ayanda. Yeah, I'm sure that a lot of mothers would relate as well to the stories that you've shared. But now I want to go to Dedi Retsang. Dedi, if you had to have your mother, oh, and there it goes. So basically, here's the question. Even you, Dedimish, and Mami Ayanda, if you had to have your mother standing in front of you now, even though it might be different for you, Mami Ayanda, because you guys speak every day, what would be the one thing that you would say to your mother that you would wish she always remembers? Dedimish?
The one thing I would say to my mother for her to remember all the time is definitely the fact that I appreciate her. I understand what she went through, and I hope she understands that whenever I was being difficult, I did not understand then. And I appreciate everything that she's done. Appreciate it in the sense that of all the choices that she could have made, of all the decisions that she made, I know that I was always part of that. I was always influencing those decisions because of her care. And I will never forget that. And I can only hope to be as good a parent, well, half as good a parent as she is. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Dedi Retsang, before your network plays tricks on us, that was right in front of you. What's the one thing you would want your mother to know and always remember? Can you hear us, Dedi?
Can you please?
All right. The question is anyway on the screen. What is the one thing you would want your mother to know and always remember?
Well, for me, is I feel like I don't tell my mother how much I love her every day. And then for all the wrong things I've done, like, sorry, excuse me, can you hear me now?
No, we can hear you. Continue. I think the network is kind of giving us a problem there. Mami Ayanda?
Oh well, for me, it's just a thank you and it's that the unconditional love is felt. It's felt so much that in everything I do, especially now, I do think about her. I think, oh, what would my mother say? So I think that I don't think there's anything better in terms of what if you're aspiring towards a legacy in terms of your children than to have that. She's so ingrained in my subconscious that I literally always have her in mind in how I talk to my children, in how I present myself to the world. Yeah, it's definitely a thank you, and I see her and I hear her.
That's amazing. So, Mami Ayanda, there's a video that you wanted us to share. Are you ready to take us through it?
Oh yes, please. Well, it
So,
speaks for yourself. There's not even much I need to say. So you'll see.
okay, let's cue it up.
I love you forever. I love you forever. I'll love you forever. Wait, let's get a pic. I got a better idea. I'll love you forever.
Hello? Love you forever.
Love
Wow.
it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Wow. One thing I took away, I will love you forever.
Yeah.
Who can love us forever like mommy can?
Exactly.
Yeah. I love this comment from Diddy Bennett. One thing I want my mother to know and always remember is that I still remember what she went through, especially being physically abused by my late dad. I will never raise a hand on a woman. Oh yeah, that's yeah. I think it goes there. Didi Retsang, is your network behaving now? I don't think it's blinking, ne?
Yeah, no, it's not.
No.
It's not. It's not even breathing for that matter.
The network is not doing justice. So, Terry Mish, a message to mothers.
A message to mothers.
Yes.
Yo, I believe that I have mothers to thank for my experiences as a child. I believe that as we celebrate mothers, we have to always remember that mothers, you are central to families, you are central to our communities, and we understand that there could be emotional, there could be spiritual challenges, there could be even poverty, but you have played a hand in making sure that you come tops, in making sure that you do not move the eye of the ball. And as a leader in my own right, I always advocate that you need more support, you need more love, not because you're weak, not because you can't do without, but simply because we have been through it. We have seen how tough life can be. We have seen the challenges of life. We have seen what curveballs life would throw at one. And we want you to always know that we appreciate you. And even the ones that don't seem to be appreciating you today, tomorrow, hopefully not too late, they will learn to appreciate you. And keep up the good work, and may God bless you abundantly.
Thank you, Daddy. Mami Ayanda.
Oh gosh, I could speak forever about this topic because, but I think for anyone out there who still has their mother who's alive, um, hopefully they can look for that video. If you could post it maybe on our link and have them share that with their mothers, because I've watched it a few times now, but it still touches my heart. And it's just that legacy that any mother, our body as women, our body tricks us into falling in love with our children because hormones come into play, and then we breastfeed, oxytocin comes in, all of that. But it is a commitment to love that human being throughout. It's a personal choice. It's a personal commitment to love them from since even that point where we're no longer breastfeeding them, all the way up until they become their own adults and they have their own families. So it's a blessing. It's a beautiful thing. If you are a parent, if you're a child out there who may be having problems with your mother, I always extend my assistance to say I'm always available. I do offer some free coaching to give to people who are dealing with their parents who may be having like toxic relationships or whatever, because I feel like it's worth it. It's worth that fight to find out what can you as an individual do to reach to your mom and get to know them and get to feel that blessing of her love. A lot of things happen. Not all of our mothers may have the ability to persevere, but in when they haven't been, and you find a person like myself who's saying, I'm extending my hand and I can help you, grab them with both hands, and let's make sure that our moms know that we hear them. And exactly what Daddy Mash said, in many cases our mothers are not only the people who gave birth to us, biological. Sometimes it becomes that aunt, it becomes a role model, it becomes, there's so many people who've also contributed as well in my life, the older friends who I have as well, who become the people I can call whenever I need a shoulder to lean on. And also challenge anyone else who doesn't have that relationship to start saying, how do you then start building those relationships with the people around you? You may not even have a biological child, but you may have an opportunity to build a relationship with someone younger who you can be able to then bless with everything that you know and all that gift that is you as a mother, as a woman.
Thank you, Mami. I think right now you've touched on something I want us to talk about. There are women who are unable to have children, but they are mothers through and through. There are women who have been trying and trying and trying to have children, but it doesn't seem to be working. There are those who have lost children. What can we say to those mothers? Because I believe motherhood is not only biological. You don't really have to give birth to a child in order to be a mother. It's a heart issue for me. So, what would you say to that woman, to that mother?
I think that when you have not given birth to a child, it does not mean that you're a mother at all. I think that you can still make the conscious choice. Within our Black communities, I understand that the historical implications that in many times we end up adopting like our extended families in terms of financial support. So we don't really do the whole adoption thing. It's not something that we think about. But I really would like to start urging people who are struggling to have babies, biological children, to start visiting an orphanage, not necessarily with the intentions maybe to adopt and keep like as a primary caregiver, but maybe to be that person who buys those clothing, to be the person who's responsible for buying the uniform, to have that relationship, and hopefully just from that experience, someone can even find a young little baby who might actually just steal their heart. Because for me, as long as there are children out there, I don't believe any mother, any family should be saying we can't have our own kids. We are able to adopt children and bring them into our families and make them our own. You can take a child from China if you don't want it to be within the South Africa. You can take it from anywhere else in the world, and that child will become your own.
Did your words to that mother, to that woman?
It's tough enough with the cultures. It's tough enough with the attitudes. It's tough enough with socialization. And in this case, I'm talking about the mothers. The mothers who haven't managed to have children. I'm calling them mothers because they are mothers. And in support of what you said, Daisy, it's a role, it's a function. It's not, it's a heart. It's not a matter of, being pregnant for 9 months and giving birth to a child. It's, as we say in Deaths in the Picture, a dad is every adult male. I mean, I'm sure Redzang is also wondering why you're calling him a dad, but every adult woman to me, it's a mom. And Unfortunately, they have to go through a lot of victimization, some of them, because having a child is actually seen in certain circles as the proof that you're a woman. And we need to move away from that. And by move away from that, I mean, as churches, as communities, as families, we need to be very, very careful of what comes out of our mouths. You know, my understanding is that whatever that I eat might be lethal, it might be poison, but it's not as lethal as what I say. So whatever we say, you know, as men, if you're a man and you're at home, you've got a wife and she hasn't, or you have come to the decision that she is not bearing you children, are you even sure that she is the problem? Have you even taken the steps to go and make sure that you do your own checking? I mean, including sperm counts, including all of that, before you can actually point a finger. So I need us to be very careful how we approach this subject. As a sister, you know, who's got a sister in the house, and or who's got a friend who you've got two children, they don't have a child. Are you quick to be saying, you know, when are you having a child? Are you close enough to this person to ask that question in the first place? Is it your business? Or is your business that of breaking them down? You know, to a mother who's lost a child, I mean, I cannot even begin to understand or even pretend to understand the pain that they would go through. For if in the same context of validation, that child was validating the mother, and now that child is gone, I believe the mother is going through a lot. A whole lot more that earlier I spoke about the support. They need that support to piece themselves together and to actually find the real person in them, the real mom in them who is not linked to a biological child, who is not linked to, you know, bearing a child, who is more a matter of you are a woman, you have a purpose in this world. Your purpose, as Maya Yanda was saying, could be that you need to share that love with somebody else. Share that love with a child who doesn't have love. Be it you're adopting them, be it you nurturing them. I mean, when we started the conversation, I spoke about Me Lekheta, that took me in, who was a shopkeeper. And I mean, she played that role all on her own account. And that is the love that moms have. And we cannot afford to be belittling those mothers. So to you, the mothers who don't have children, who can't have children for whatever reason that's proven or not proven, just know that you have the strength, you have it in you. And I'd say perhaps God has a different purpose for you. But you cannot look down on yourself. You cannot stop being who you are. There's that child that's in front of you right this minute, be it a neighbor's child, be it you are a teacher and this child is at school. This child comes to school and they are hungry and they are crying. I mean, we've seen it, especially on social media, how some mothers actually would make lunch boxes for children in their class because they've realized those children don't have anything to eat. How they would run projects. We run, you know, for instance, in the biking community, we run these projects that come up, winter, summer. Women are always part of that. So the moms are always part of it. It's natural. It's part of who they are. So let us not shun them out. Let us not look the other. Let us not even use that as a measure of marriage material, as a measure of, you know, anything else. Let us be kind to them because they are going through probably what they feel is a lack of validation, what they feel is a lack of acceptance, what they feel is failure, which is not. You know, I mean, I've come to appreciate a lot of women, and I've sat in various, you know, sessions with them, and the input they give in a conversation, for starters. I mean, having this conversation without Mami Ayanda, it would have probably ended at 15 minutes. You know, it wouldn't. I'm just being honest now to say it wouldn't have had the right kind of value, the right kind of energy in it. The minute we have this saying that, I can build a house as a man, but it will take a woman to make it a home. And much as someone is from Mars and someone is from Venus, we might not understand the value of each other at that point, but I can tell you one thing: she will make it warm. The stack of Tupperware, it's there for a reason. The fact that you're not allowed to use it, it's a different topic altogether. It's there for a reason, and one day you will appreciate it. One day you will see its use. So let us appreciate the moms and just be kind to them, for they are not, those who do not have children, it's not a personal choice in most cases. If it's a personal choice, they have already probably identified their own value. And those who need our support, let's support them. And yes, there are children out there who need so much love. Young boys and young girls out there who need so much motherly love that we cannot be sitting and crying about not having your own child or having lost your child. Cry for as long as you need to, but once you've done that, know that the world awaits. Your purpose is bigger than that particular child that is biological to you. Thank you.
And just to add on that, Daddy, I'm just seeing a whole lot more people who are saying they don't want to have children. And I think that's fine. Like a lot more women today are saying they're actively choosing not to be that role. I think that as a society, in terms of our culture, we have to change this idea that to be a woman, you have to have given birth. It's so backward. You know, there are, let's be realistic, there are certain things that happen in our society that would make any person think twice about wanting to bring children into this world. And we can respect those people's wishes and not shame them, just to add on what Daddy Mash was saying.
I'll confess that I've fallen into the trap, or maybe the societal trap, or maybe the mental trap. I don't know what it is, but so I used to follow this one lady on Facebook. She says, I don't want to have children, and I'm not going to explain myself, right? And you would think maybe she doesn't like children. She loves them. And then one day I just found myself falling into it and asking, wow, why don't you have your own? And it was like, no, it's my decision and I'm not going to explain myself. Sometimes you kind of look at other couples and you think, okay, they look complete. Why aren't they having children? You know?
Yeah.
But it's actually none of my business. It's their decision, right?
Puma lapova.
Whether she or he cannot have children, one of them is not fertile or both are fertile, and they've chosen actively not to have children. It's none of my business. They love their lives the way it is, and I think as society we need to get to a point where we don't rush women to saying, hey, when are you going to have children? Why don't you have children? But you're so good with children, why don't you have them? We need to get to that point. I'm surely getting to that, where I'm just accepting that it's the two of them. Whether they want children or not, it's none of my business. Ningenaphi mina lapho. I'm even talking about myself because I don't want to talk about anybody else. It's something that I've observed.
Yeah.
Also, it comes from the fact that, as you can see, I've got one who's here. Seemingly right now he's troublesome, but he's brought so much joy in my life. I'm speaking for myself, and I also have a daughter. It's amazing to see someone grow. It's amazing to realize that you could love someone beyond yourself, that you could actually experience that kind of love. And you can imagine that even for a mother then to to go through the experience of giving birth, of those months where she's got that tummy, she's going through all sorts of hormonal changes, and then in the end she has to choose whether she's going to get cut or whether she's going to push, and at the end she's got this child whom maybe she loves or decides not to love. um, but if it's a woman who chooses, they want to love their child, they want to keep their child, they enjoy that sense of love, joy, and fulfillment that comes from raising a child. Wait, it's I'm gonna disturb. Eh, whether that joy of loving a child and going through all those emotions, it's their choice, right? But I'm at the point where I'm thinking, why wouldn't you want to experience that for yourself? I wish that you would, but I need to also understand that if she's choosing not to, ngingenaphi mina lapho, I need to stay out of it. It's that point where even if my daughter was to say, Daddy, I'm not going to have children or I'm not going to get married, it's, wow, when she's old enough and she still makes the same decision and choice, it is her life. She's not any less of a woman. For a man not to want to have children, it's his choice, it's his decision. It doesn't make him any less of a man. And I think, and I believe that as society, we need to get to that point. We need to start accepting women for just being people. We need to accept mothers for who they are, for what they've chosen. There are mothers who would tell you, hey, let me not even say mothers. There are women who would say, I want maybe 10 children. And you're gonna think, what? And she says, and I'm gonna give birth to all of them. Even then, it's her choice,
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
get to a point where we respect and honor women for doing that, and support them even. um and yeah, there is so much that's going on around women that we don't need to be adding on top of that.
And funny enough, Dennis, you'll be surprised that even though I'm a parent coach and a parent everything, I usually tell women don't do it. I think if I could be president for one day, I'd put a law that up until you're the age of 35 at least, you should not be having children. Only because I feel like, yes,
Whoa.
Daddy.
Now that is sexy. Can you
Simply
take us
because
through
I
that?
feel
What?
I just believe that our children would be in much more, we would be in a position where we're much more mature, that we have figured out our own identities as a people. There is so much that you as a person can still do in your life without necessarily needing your child to be your reason for living. I as much as I know that my kids are my reason for living, I don't like hearing that. I want to hear someone say, yeah, and this is what I love, and I love hiking, I like skiing, I've traveled the world. I'd like to see the Black community start to get to a place where outside having children, we can have those kind of identities where we have our own hobbies, where we have our own ideas of who we are. And I think that once we get to that maturity, even the kind of relationships that we have with our children, that we have with our partners, will be so much different. And that would have a huge impact on things like your divorce rates that we are seeing right now. The reality is, as glamorous as it looks to take all these nice Insta pics with my kids, you listen, what I do in my household is every Sunday we do like activities. So we do painting, we do everything. I try everything. But let me tell you, after taking all those pictures, I have to clean up. And it's like, wow, how did this paint get everywhere? And we like scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing. So I'm just saying that, you know, I wish that people would find themselves, find their identity, explore, and then say, okay, now I've done all of this. Now I'm ready to bring a young person into this world. Because then even the relationships that we have between ourselves as partners, mother and father, I think will be very different. Our chances of getting into divorces and all of these things, how we separate. Let's say divorces it's unavoidable, but if we have done all of that and we've explored our lives, how we separate will also be more mature. We'll have the child's well-being in mind.
I think now you're touching on a very sensitive subject, especially around a divorce, separation. Maybe then I'd like, if there's a mother watching, why is it that mothers tend to use children as bait, or as a means of punishing the father? And why is it that mothers tend to hold on to the pain long after the event? So maybe the father, she and the father of the child separated when the child was, let's say, 2 years old, right? And now the child is 18, but she's still holding on to the pain of the separation at 2 years old.
So in my personal experience, I don't speak for all women in this particular, but the challenge we have is that society has put my value as a woman on my children, on how many children I have, on how many fathers of these children I have. And for me, it almost like already, in terms of the value of who I am, already it's like marked down, you know? So once you as a woman are in that first and second marriage, you see now, you're already, like, it's a bit tricky, that whole situation. So it tends to be harder to let go. In my personal experience, it's been easier only because I've been able to change my focus completely. You know, I think one of the reasons why my relationships didn't work out is that maybe I was happier as a girlfriend, but once I became a mother, my priorities changed. And then obviously in terms of the actual relationship, it didn't go together, it didn't gel. And then as you grow as a couple, whether you're separated or not, you kind of have to be still in the same level. And once unomuntu sala behind in terms of that, then the conflict will start. You know, I have a 13-year-old, an amazing relationship with his dad. He's still, we have a perfectly amazing co-parenting relationship. And I have an 8-year-old. Our relationship is nothing close to civil, even now. And even though I've moved on, I'm engaged, I'm happily getting into my relationship, we still have issues that are very uncomfortable, you know? So, and I don't blame him alone. I know that I'm also at fault because I tend to lose it when he brings certain things up. And I even this new Ayanda that I would say I am, who's more matured, goes right out of the door. And I'm like, yay, when I don't even start, do you remember? So I'm saying I'm just as guilty, but in terms of that whole, the growth, it has to be both sides. And I wish there was a way that we can all say, listen, it didn't work out between me and you. That's fine. We'll still be friends. We'll always be parents to this young person. Let's move on.
Yeah, I wish that's the perspective that most women had, especially, I think, acknowledging that both could be at fault, and while both could be at fault, that this thing basically has not worked out. whatever issues that we've had, let's put them aside for the benefit of the child.
Yeah.
But I can understand that at times um, it can be an issue of mama just being overprotective or protective of her child or children, that she needs to make sure that her children are well off, that they are protected emotionally, that she makes sure that there's no one who comes to hurt her children. I don't think have you ever seen a hen protecting her chicks?
Yes.
Nothing gets in her way. Like, she doesn't care how big you are. She doesn't
Yep.
care what you are. She will come at you.
Yeah.
I think
Absolutely.
that-
Oh,
And I think that, sorry, what were you saying, Kaminga?
you you know, you've touched on so many things that that need to be unpacked, and in a way, we've sort of glided over them. And there's about 4 or 5 things that we just glided over, and I think we need to really go back and say, Mami Ayanda, you mentioned something about the why when you started, and that for me is key. The why determines my next decision, my
Absolutely.
direction. The why, it's very key. Earlier, I actually wanted to interject when you mentioned the issue of age 35. Interject in the sense that I am so with you. I am so amazed that we are sitting here, me and you, on opposite ends of Gauteng, and we are thinking
I'm in
along
Northwest
the
now.
same line. Oh, yes. We are thinking along the same line. And, you know, the reason why we've partnered with the youth from Relme Foundation, I wonder if Retzan is going to come back or he's been chopped forever, is to say we need to get the youth to understand exactly what it is that life has to throw at them. And throw at them meaning life is hectic, life happens. Life does not wait for you to make your own perfect decisions and climb the ladder perfectly. It's a storm all the way. And you have to find your calmness within the storm to make the decisions. Because if you don't find the calmness within the storm, you're going to go with the flow. So the age 35 is the age that I had proposed to my children. Retsan can attest to it. And, you know, along exactly what you said, it's not about the age per se. It's about the life experiences that you have that pushes you to a certain level of maturity at the end of the day. So if you are, you know, the example I normally make is that my daughter, um, she might be 5 years and she might be going to a preschool. When she comes home and she says, Daddy, 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 I have a boyfriend. I can't blow some steam and start jumping up and down and get excited. No, she has a boyfriend in her world at her age for the reasons of that age. I need to accept it because now, guess what? At 12, if I responded negatively, there's a good chance that at 12, she's not going to come and tell me that she's got a boyfriend. I want her to keep telling me she's got a boyfriend so that at that point I can respond accordingly. So she's giving me the opportunity to influence. You're on mute, mommy. Oh, you're not. She's giving me the opportunity to influence, and I need to grab it at 12, at 18, at 20 to say, you know what, my child, at this age, what is it that you intend to do with this boyfriend? You know, at 18, when my daughter says, well, by then they're teenagers, they don't even say it, right? So you somehow have to drag it out of them. So I would ask a random question. So how is he? And then there'll be that who? And I'll be like, your boyfriend. Because I understand that she is at an age of exploration. So, and I would ask my son, how is she? Valentine is coming. What are you guys doing? Without any knowledge of any boyfriend or girlfriend existing. And the answer to that question would give me the go ahead to say, okay, now I can explore this question, I can explore that. And it is important that we understand that when you are 20, what your aspirations are about your life, in support of what Mami Ayanda said, what your aspirations are about your life might not be advised by knowledge. It might be advised by wishes, my daughter at 20 might be seeing herself living on a mountain, owning a yacht, owning a landing strip, owning 3 million rand cars, and that's what she sees. And she's not wrong. However, if she commits at that age, the chances of her committing to something that is unattainable practically are higher than when she does the commitment at 30 or at 35, as Mamia is advising. So, coming back to today's discussion about motherhood, I still have to see the real reasons why one would want to be finished with having children by the age of 35. Because for me, you could be rushing into that because it's a narrative you got from your friends, Hale Dlala di Karata, or it's a narrative you got from social media that you need to have a child at 20. But is that fact? Do you have medical proof that actually you cannot have a child beyond 35, or you will have issues beyond 35? Yes, there might be issues of finances in the sense that you don't want to take your child to school beyond the age of when you're a granny. You'd rather take your child to school while you're still working and employed. But then it means all you need to do is plan all these years. Put away the nice nest to make sure that when your child is born at 35, you will have the 500,000 rand that's required to take them through primary education. And then at that point, you start putting away money to have the 2 million required to take them through tertiary education. So it is not about you just sitting and slumbering and flying off all over the world without planning. You're flying off, you're exploring, but you are planning as to what is it that would happen should you decide to have a child. So I support that, and Retsang is here to can attest to that. That is my position to say, let's grow up. That would be the one thing. And now we spoke about the issue of, um, you know, being a mother and having to make certain decisions about your life. I mean, especially when it comes to the issue of there's fights, there's a separation, there's a divorce, and that also comes back to the why, Mami Ayanda. Why did I have this child with this man?
Yeah.
We have to be accountable. If we're not
Absolutely.
going to be accountable for our actions, perhaps this man you met Komzukwane and it was happening. Perhaps this man you met at church and he was a praise singer. Perhaps this man you met at work and he was your boss and he coerced you into a relationship and gave you a bonus and gave you all of these things. So the why ultimately comes back to how you fight with this person. I always say, when we talk respect, respect for me, it's shown on how we fight. The minute we have a disagreement, I can tell whether you respect me or not.
True.
If you talk, there's a good chance that you never respected me in the first place. If I'm gonna be telling you that, yeah, you like your mother, that already says to you about this. It's not about the argument, it's about the respect. How I argue with you. My son, I'm talking to you and I'm telling you that you cannot be drinking, like, and getting drunk all over the place, and you decide you are angry with me. Tomorrow morning, I'm still gonna knock on your door and wake you up and call you up and make you breakfast and the same things that we always do. So if I'm gonna say, don't even come into my car. Today you're gonna walk to school. there's a problem there. It wasn't about that incident. It's about something bigger than that. So yeah, and I think perhaps Rezan, on the issue of age, I know we've never really agreed on it, but you've had Mami Ayanda now speaking to it. Yeah,
Yeah,
what's your opinion?
yeah, I did. Just to add on what you said about the respect, I remember you told me like the relationship I have with someone, it's about me and only me. So whether we fight or what, I must still maintain the same energy I was putting in at the start of the relationship. And then in terms of like the age of 35, as of now, I'm like 23, so I don't think I'm ready to have kids for like the next 7, 8 summers. Mentally, I'm not there. Financially, financially, I'm not there. Maturity wise, so for me, having a kid now would just set everything back. Yeah, so no, I don't.
Well, I'm glad
I
you've
hope
got a
that makes sense.
position on it. Yeah, no, it makes sense. Mami Ayanda, what do you have to say as a mom? What do you have to say to the young men?
Listen, it's really it's just everything that we've said, you know. It does require you to be in a financial space that you are able to take care, you know, to avoid those little unnecessary fights. It does require you to have figured out your own individual identity so that you know what is to respect, who you choose, and why are you choosing that particular person to become the mother of your children. I I know that there's certain cultures. Just to make an example, I have a very close friend who's a Muslim lady, and I've been very amused because I've gotten very through our friendship. I've gotten to know her culture, and she's had a prearranged marriage, and I mean this is from very young age, and I was quite amazed to know that it actually works out, and that's amazing because okay, she looks at her culture differently, you know, and I suppose so within the cultural concept, depending if are you doing the whole cultural thing or you're doing some of it, the reality is we are not really doing the whole cultural thing, you know. The reason why we have a whole lot of fatherlessness in our country is like a whole lot of things. You know, I never want to point to one thing because I'm fully aware of the history of how the systematic oppressions, issues around how all of that has contributed to the issue. Because previously our culture had worked away to provide for these families in terms of how our homesteads were created to have umama omkhulu, umama omncane, nomama, you know, we had all of those kind of situations where the siblings, even if they were step siblings, had a relationship, all of that. But in looking at it today, just so that we can redress the issues that we have. I truly believe that if more young black men, more young black women start focusing on what do I do with my career first, what do I do in order to figure myself, you know, there's so many opportunities now that they have. You could travel the world, work in cruise lines, do all of these things, study online while you're doing all of that kind of work. And a friend of mine went to do a whole thing where she went for 2 years to work in a French farm while she was doing her degree. And just there's so many amazing opportunities that there are today where our young people can actually be in a better positions to prepare for their lives. But that is also conversations that have to happen between the parent and the child to say, listen, and this comes in to that the realness of how do we, if I'm going through struggles as a parent, do I bring my children into it? Do I tell my children, listen, the reality is mom is struggling financially and she's struggling because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, I've had to go back to school full time to figure my career out so that I can be better prepared to take care of my children. And they are my why, basically. And it's harder, believe you me, because I'm having now single motherhood, I'm having school, and I'm having to be an entrepreneur, and all of these things. You know, my daughter will come now and tell me she's hungry, and I'm in the middle of preparing an assignment which is due in a couple of hours. So hence I always say there's a glam to the mom thing, but there's also like there's a tough situation about it as well, where in my heart of hearts, I really wish people would postpone it as long as they can, find themselves, figure out what kind of a man do I want to spend the rest of my life with, and then I don't know how, explore that, find the right person, and then hopefully be able to build families that will be able to have our children in mind. We know the reality is money is what makes the world a better place. So we have to be having those careers, whatever they are, whether you're a boiler maker, whether you're working in the insurance space, whether you're an educator. But if we could focus on those things first, I really, you know, as much as I do the work I do, I really wish that I could be an anti-children activist, at least until a person is 35. I don't know, maybe one of these days I will pivot and become that, or start doing more serious workshops in schools, especially at high schools, where I'm trying to get these children to understand how hard it is to try to do this while there's 2 mouths to feed. Whereas, yes, I love them, they're my whole world, but I could have done it in a different way, and they could have been able to have a different life, an easier life, where there is not so much conflict, which I think is unnecessary if we were to be practical and to think future orientation in terms of how we plan.
Absolutely. Before you come back, there is I think just the points you were saying. I wouldn't want you to be an anti-child activist. I'd want you to be a matured parenting activist. You're already on parenting, so go for the matured one. Some of us, unfortunately, were shortchanged by our own parents. And I'm saying by our own parents being the environment was not nurturing enough for us to have the engagement. The environment didn't give us the opportunity to engage on the what next. So if I'm raising, you know, moms, happy Mother's Day, by the way. It's about how you as moms, some of you were teenage moms. It's a struggle. Let's just be honest. Being a teenage mom is nip up and flays. I've never been a teenage mom, but I can tell you that from the minute you get pregnant at grade 11 or standard 9 back in the days, you've had the world up against you. You've had to withstand the ridicule from your friends, the teachers, you know, the community. You were the lowest of the people in that community. And yes, you came this far, but remember, you got hurt, you got bent, you got broken along the way. As such, when it comes to you being the right mentor to your child, you might drop the ball in the sense that you still have that pain that you haven't addressed. And who is allowing you to address it whilst every government department is saying we in Bokoto march on? So we are marching women, for instance, into women emancipation and women empowerment with their broken baggage. And that is where we're getting it all wrong. To say, as a father, I know I didn't have a child when I had my first child when I was 26. And that for me was early. Can you imagine now if I had it when I was my child when I was 19? I was 26, I was working, and that was early still because I did not know what I didn't know. I did not know that we are kupugel. I did not know Guti school fees. Well, crèche, Montessori back then was 2.5 a month. The 2.5 that I could have taken half of and invested, and half of it went on a cruise. But you understand that. So you commit to. It's not about 18 years. The child grows. No, the child gets, by the time they're 18, they've just done their matric. They still have varsity, and they might not have a job for a couple of years. So let's say you're committing to 25 years of your funds, your resources, your energy as a mom to this little being. So that decision needs to be thought out. That's why it needs to be very convincing. It can be socialization, it can be culture, it can be there's this thing about a clock, biological clock. I remember the story. That's the story that was said 40 years ago. Is that story still true? Have we rechecked and re-looked? My point exactly. So let's look at this biological clock nonsense to say, do you really have to have that child before you are 30? So as moms, you've been strong. You are strong. The new moms, the teenage moms, go shuba as a teenage mom. Don't even it's remember it's the child is a consequence of your actions. So yes, you have consequences, and yes, me as dads in the picture, we're gonna go with Daddy Zibuse and talk to those dads, those teenage fathers, and bring them back in. But that does not help you one bit. Whether they are there or not, you are still huzo huzo. So let's understand that. And for that we honor you, and we love you for being there. We're still saying, did you have to go through all of that at that age with the limited resources? Can you please stand up and talk to your friends, talk to your children, talk to your nephews and nieces? Yes, nephews and nieces, both boys and girls, need to understand that this is a life-altering occasion. The minute you have a child, the minute you are a mom. However, we appreciate that you didn't drop the ball and say, no, I'm not the mother, because you're pregnant, obviously, and the boys could say that, but you didn't drop the ball and leave umntana with umakhulu and said, uzokhula ngegrant. So for that, we here honoring you and saying, halala. It is.
Wow, what a lot has been said. So there's something I want to say on the biological clock. So a couple of weeks ago, my wife and I went to her gynae, and I always go in with her and listen in when the doctor's like explaining everything. So one of the things he said was, up until around your 40s, as a woman, your ovulation happens frequently. But when you reach your 40s and beyond, it starts happening less frequently, which would then speak to the point of people saying, hey, the biological clock. But obviously, that is misconstrued to say women should have children very early in their lives. I think the age of 35, when someone prefers, that would be an ideal age, because then you've got that, you still have a long ways to go before you're even 40 or over the age of 40. So if you want those 3, 5, probably 10 children, you could still somehow have them. But if you want to have 10 or 15, you'd have to start a bit earlier than that. Hey, it's everybody's choice. But nonetheless, I got to understand the thing about the biological clock, but it still does not condone society imposing standards or expectations on women to have children much earlier when they are not even matured. I mean, we've seen it in our teens to our 20s. We still wanted to live the life. We still wanted to explore. But because we started, being parents very early, you then kind of have to ish the nappies. They were expensive then. So if they were expensive then, they're still expensive now.
Mm.
There's the milk. You find that your child has a very healthy appetite. We are shy bees.
Mm-hmm.
You see, there's about purity. There's all sorts of things. You buy a big tin of powder milk, and you are told in 2 weeks it's finished. You don't understand how is this child finishing that much in such a short space of time. And you start bringing those arguments, but the mother knows, right?
Yeah.
I don't think with that at that stage we would have developed or that would have enjoyed our lives sufficiently to kind of say, hey, I'm ready for children. I believe that women should decide, even within the context of a relationship or a marriage, they should still say, you know what, hubby or partner, I'm ready, let's do this. Because there are physiological changes that happen in a woman's body. Hey, she was not ready to lose that Coke bottle type of shape body, or she was not ready to lose her figure and start having those scars, and now has to focus on gymming so much so that she can come back and have that shape. So you need to put that much pressure. If you want to put a woman under that much pressure, then you better be willing to come to the fore and support whatever that she's going to need along that journey. But at the end of the day, it is her choice. So tomorrow,
The same. The same. Just to chip in there.
yes,
It is her choice, also comes with the responsibility to communicate. And I believe, in adding to what you said, at the age of 20, well, actually at the age of 5, you think you can communicate. At the age of 20, you think you're a master of communication. At the age of 30, still, but it takes a bit of experiment, a bit of experience, a bit of not having 10 boyfriends or so, but you might go through one, and by the time you get to your second boyfriend, you've learned the art of communication. You've learned how to say no without necessarily offending the person. And I'm not going to say offending them because they are weak. You've made a choice, you've chosen them with your wisdom. So if you wait for that age where you are wise enough to ask the right questions. Earlier, I mentioned in the some people go to church because they are ready. They've been told about biological clocks. They've been told about which is funusugulu and endlini. They go to church to go find someone to marry, and that why is wrong. So if you find somebody like that with that kind of why, you are in trouble.
Yeah.
So if we say one person can decide, she can decide, not a problem. But what if the partner's why is a different game altogether? We've got people that actually go out of their relationships to go and have children outside because the partner says they are not ready.
Yeah.
So already it says to you that when you met, one of you was not matured enough. Either he was not matured enough to be honest in his thinking, to make you aware that he will expect within 2 years, right? Or you were not matured enough to ask the right questions to say, hey, this is my plan. Can you communicate that plan? Mauti, you're not ready to have umtana. It's not a statement. It's a discussion. And it's not a discussion after marriage. It's a discussion during courtship. Do we answer and ask these questions before we even say we're settling down? Or are we settling down to the facade of what we think life should be? So for me, I believe women have got intuition, they've got intelligence, they've got a drive, And I'd really want to see them use that more often to say, you know what, the fact that you can be pregnant for 9 months, bring forward this child, take care of this child for 18 years alone says you've got the strength, you've got the power. How then do you not take the time to pick the right running mate, to communicate with the right running mate, to make sure that at the end of the day, you're not going to have a situation whereby he is now saying, after umntwana afika athi uthe ufuna umntwana. You understand that thing?
Absolutely. You know, I think that one is a bit complicated. You know, you may give the woman, the mother, the credit in terms of their intelligence and all of that. But the reality is, at what age is someone really? So, for instance, legally, up until you're the age of 21, you can't sign a document unless there's a guardian, you know? So already that tells you that actually your ability to make decisions is not exactly trustable yet, right? And then secondly, we need to always consider the background of where we come from. As women, we are taught not to be loud. We're not nurtured in a way that we are asked what our opinions are. So already, even in my choosing of a mate, you know, am I really sitting down and looking at all my prospects and saying, okay, this one's got a degree, this one's got a what are my prospects in terms of a better future? We don't even have that emotional intelligence to make those kind of calculations. And I think that is supposed to be the power of being a woman, because once women actually acknowledge that power, it also affects the whole society, in that then you come and you ask me out and then I refuse. Then as a man, you have to somehow go and fix yourself if you find that you're not, you know, like I'm not saying that's, but there's a bit of an ambition thing that happens where you're saying, okay, how do I fix myself? Because this is who I want. But then if I understood my power, then I would have been able to say, this is the life I want, and therefore I need to be very deliberate in terms of who I'm choosing. But this is maybe we digress from the actual topic. But I don't think that at 21, up until like maybe 26, 27, we even have that intelligence to actually be that deliberate, unless somebody has actually had that conversation with you, you know, and said, listen, these are the things that are important. You know, when I was deciding on a partner who I would spend the rest of my life with, now as an adult, now as someone who's matured, I was able to go out and talk to all my married friends and speak to them and ask them, what have you found to be the most important thing in your relationship with your partner? And by having those kind of conversations, I was almost able to discern, okay, this is what's important. And this is maybe what I have in my relationship, and this is what I don't. This is what I can work towards. You know, those kind of, that intelligence I would not have gotten that up until maybe 3 decades later, and a whole lot of experience. So I'm just saying that there's so much that happens in our society. It doesn't really prepare us. That's all I'm just saying.
Wow. Thank you, Mami Ayanda. So what I'd like us to do, let's see if Retsang, it looks like his network is still letting him down. So let's try again. See, he's here. So what I'd like us to do, Retsang, a word of appreciation to
Yes,
teenage.
I'm still around.
A word of appreciation to teenage mothers.
To teenage mothers, it's continue working, and then there's more to life. There's still that you can still achieve while a parent. So there's a bright future behind of you. So don't let the mistakes you did define you or make you who you are. So yeah.
Thank you. Let's give this one to Mami Ayanda, a word of appreciation to young mothers.
I think I'll go back to that quote that I said initially, and I have a nice little poster of it in my room. Before I go to sleep, that's what I look at. When I wake up, that's the first thing that I look at. He who has a wife can endure anyhow. So even for those young moms, I know you look at your child and they are the light of your life, and it's if you just have to look at the opportunities that you are presented and see how you can make that practical. If it means getting into an internship, finding some type of scholarship somewhere, keep looking, keep applying every day. Go to a KFC. I've done this. Go to your KFC, McDonald's to use the free Wi-Fi. I've done it. I know. Just to apply for that job. I'm not
Yeah.
even there to buy anything, but I'm there to use that Wi-Fi up until you move on. So it's worthwhile. It will be worthwhile at the end.
Thank you for that word. I was just waiting for Dedimish then to give us. There we go. He's back. So Dedimish, this one is for you. A word to all mothers who try their best. They are facing odds. They are facing challenges, but they still try. What would you say to them?
Moms, your resilience, your caring, your support for the children and the families and within communities isn't going unappreciated and unnoticed. At the end of the day, you are where you are now and you are doing what you can with what you have. That is appreciated. Keep doing what you can with what you have. Do your best and make sure that if there are certain issues that might be blocking your vision, blocking your drive forward, blocking your progress, attend to them. I believe that the past is not something that you walk away from, but it's something that you confront first and then walk away from. Because if you walk away from it and ignore it, one day the voice of the power of the past will jump at you when you least expect it and derail you. But if you address it, if somebody who's hurt you, go out there, put it on pen, pray on it, talk to them, then throw it aside. But whatever it is, address that challenge, and God will give you the strength for the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Dedimish, for that word. So, yeah, I don't know if my mother will get to see this, but I know that my brother is on Facebook. So I call my mother Usis Nomsa, affectionately so. She's, yeah, we've been through so much together. I think she's sacrificed her life to just raising us. Like all mothers, she was not perfect, but she kept trying, she kept moving forward. And I just want to say to her, I love you, Sis Nomsa, in everything that you've done. And I don't take anything for granted. And just another thing that I'd like to share with you guys, my first Bible, right? My mother gave me money to go buy that Bible. It was a nice King James Bible. It's black. I think it's somewhere around here. And I remember when I was moving out of home, going to work, my first job. She gave me one plate, one fork, one knife, one spoon, one teaspoon, one pot, one of everything, and bedding. And then she said to me, you are out of my house. Don't come back. The only time you're allowed to come back is to visit. And I think in her way, she was saying, my son, go out there, don't look back. So she's taught me so much, and I appreciate it. And unlike most people, I don't call her most often. So I go a long time without speaking to her. But when we do, there's that revival in me, that just kind of gives me that mama. You know, when I'm at home, I feel it. You know, it's that revival of being at home. So to her, I'd like to say I love you, and I will always love you. Guys, thank you. I want to close. Let me see. In the last 4 minutes that are left, I'd like to close off with the clip that you shared with us, Mami. But before I do that, Dedi Retsang, thank you for your time and for being patient with your network while it was busy with you. Dedi Mish, your words of wisdom as always. Yeah. Mami Ayanda, I saw there a moment there was a distraction and you had to mute while talking to someone. I guess that's your motherly duties.
Mommy duties.
Into your time as well. It's been a very fast 2 hours, but you stuck through. Even Retsang in these 2 hours, he kept going in and out, but he never gave up. I hope you have that spirit even throughout your life.
In and
We'll
out,
do
yeah.
for Father's Day. And I think what we also are planning, please look out for Dads in the Picture Facebook page, YouTube, website, WhatsApp groups, everywhere. We have a session for the Child Protection Week, which is coming up just now in May. So, guys, thank you for tuning in. Daddy Bernard, you've been there. Thank you as well for tuning in, and everybody who's going to watch this afterwards. So I'm going to then queue up this video. I think it was very touching that it just needs a repetition. And while we then bring it on screen, I just like to say thank you and goodbye and have a blessed day.
I love you forever. I love you forever. I'll love you forever. Wait, let's get a pic. I got a better idea. I'll love you forever.
Hello?